Okay, let's unpack this. We have a really powerful set of sources today, all focusing on discipline, resilience, and the power of small actions.
Mhm.
We are diving deep into Admiral William H. McRaven's book, Make Your Bed, Little Things That Can Change Your Life and maybe the world.
Yeah, this is one of those sources where, the messenger is just as important as the message itself.
How so?
Well, when you hear life advice, you often wonder about credibility, right? But McRaven, he's a retired four-star admiral, a U.S. Navy SEAL.
Right.
He led some of the most significant missions in recent history, including the operation to eliminate Osama bin Laden. So these aren't just like abstract life hacks.
No, not at all. These are lessons forged in the toughest environment imaginable, the crucible of SEAL training.
Exactly.
So the core question the book asks is almost, it feels deceptively simple. Can a routine, kind of mundane task, something you do in the first 5 minutes of your day, can that truly be the starting point for massive positive change in your life? Is this just clever self-help, or is discipline really the shortcut he suggests it is?
I think it's the latter, and the timing of this advice is really key for you, the listener.
Hmm.
The book came out when the world felt, increasingly unpredictable.
Hmm.
People were looking for ways to ground themselves, to find some stability, and McRaven offers this very practical roadmap. It's about shifting focus from the external chaos to your internal control.
Personal accountability.
Personal accountability and the almost exponential power of small, consistent actions.
So our mission in this deep dive is to synthesize his 10 key principles, which of course started with that viral commencement speech he gave.
Right. At the University of Texas back in 2014.
And we're going to translate that high-octane military discipline into a life strategy that you can actually use right now.
Let's look at the foundation first.
Hmm.
McRaven's overarching message is pretty clear. Success isn't built on luck or some single grand gesture. It's built on a relentless accumulation of simple habits and a resilient mindset.
And that foundation starts, quite literally, at the sheets. This first cluster of lessons is all about that foundational discipline and, interestingly, about support.
Mm-hmm.
So lesson 1, start your day with a task completed. But why? I mean, why does the military, which deals in grand strategy, focus so intensely on a perfectly made bed?
Because that one task
Yeah.
immediately instills two things. First, discipline. But second, and this is crucial, a small sense of pride and accomplishment.
It's the first victory of the day.
It's the first victory. McRaven talks about the inspection, the instructor who would bounce a quarter off the bed
The hospital corners,
to
yeah.
make sure the hospital corners were tight enough. If it didn't bounce, you failed. That attention to detail, the commitment to excellence in something so mundane, it just cascades.
It totally sets the tone. But then he quickly pivots, which I love. He reminds us that individual success is not enough. And that brings us to lesson 2. You can't go it alone.
Right. This is where individual discipline has to become a collective effort.
And he has a great example for this.
He does. SEAL training ensures this interdependence. They had this 7-man rubber boat, the IBS, and they had to carry it everywhere.
Everywhere.
It's this literal, physical symbol of teamwork. If one person got tired or couldn't pull their weight, the whole crew suffered.
So everyone else has to compensate.
They have to paddle harder, maybe share their rations. It just vividly underscores that you have to rely on and, more importantly, support and lift up the other people in your crew.
And the best part is, your crew isn't defined by just physical strength. Which leads to lesson 3, which is so motivating. Only the size of your heart matters.
This is such a great story. McRaven tells this story about Lieutenant Tom Norris, a guy in his training class who was, kind of slight, unassuming.
Was frail, he says?
Yeah, even frail. And McRaven admits he doubted this guy could make it. But Norris went on to become a Medal of Honor recipient for going deep behind enemy lines in Vietnam to rescue 2 downed airmen. It just proves that pure determination and inner spirit will always, always trump physical size. You can't judge potential by the packaging.
That's a perfect transition to the second cluster of ideas, where McRaven moves from building habits to dealing with the inevitable, the setbacks.
Failure.
Which is so critical because in civilian life, we often see failure as this permanent stop sign. McRaven wants to help us reframe it.
Let's start with lesson 4. Get over being a sugar cookie. It's such a perfect metaphor for accepting that life just isn't fair.
So what is a sugar cookie?
The punishment for a uniform inspection failure was you had to run into the freezing cold ocean, then immediately roll around on the beach until you were covered head to toe in wet sand.
You literally look like a sugar cookie.
You're miserable. It sounds awful.
It does. But how do you apply that lesson to, say, an unfair performance review at work or a market downturn that hits your business?
The takeaway is that life is indiscriminate. It's unfair, it's often punishing, and setbacks are going to happen. The point isn't to fix the unfairness.
Right.
It's to accept the discomfort of the moment without letting it derail your long-term progress. He tells the story of Moki Martin, this amazing athlete who was paralyzed in an accident.
Mm-hmm.
And he never asked, why me? He just found a new way to drive on. The sand is that temporary discomfort. You have to shake it off and keep moving.
And building on that, lesson 5 almost seems to encourage failure. Don't be afraid of the circus.
Yeah, the circus was the name for 2 hours of extra punishing calisthenics. It was specifically for anyone who performed poorly during the day.
It sounds totally counterintuitive. You fail, so you get punished more.
It does, right? But the key insight McRaven shares is that the guys who were constantly sent to the circus, the ones who failed often but kept showing up,
They got stronger.
paradoxically, they got stronger, they got tougher, more resilient. Failure became this painful but critical learning opportunity. It proves that the path to strength is often through that temporary pain.
So if the circus teaches you to tolerate failure, lesson 6 is about embracing calculated risk. Slide down the obstacle head first.
This one comes from the Slide for Life obstacle, which was this 100-foot rope slide. The slow, safe way was possum style.
But to break the record.
To break the record and really demonstrate what a SEAL could do, you had to risk it. You had to go with the faster, more dangerous commando style headfirst down the rope.
But it's not just about being reckless.
No, not at all. It's about being so prepared that speed becomes your advantage. He connects this directly to a real-world hostage rescue. It required 3 Black Hawk helicopters to land simultaneously inside a tiny walled compound.
A huge risk.
A massive risk, a commando-style move. But because of the planning, because of the commitment, it worked. It's the lesson that calculated audacity can deliver huge results.
Which brings us right into the final cluster of lessons. These are all about courage, composure, and maybe most importantly, hope.
Lesson 7. Don't back down from the shark.
This one is pretty literal. That night, swim off San Clemente Island.
Which is a breeding ground for great white sharks.
Terrifying. And the metaphor is so stark. If a shark circles you, you stand your ground. If it attacks, you punch it in the snout.
And you can translate that directly to moral courage. McRaven tells a story about Saddam Hussein, even when he was a prisoner, trying to intimidate new Iraqi leaders. McRaven showed that courage. He isolated him, took away his power symbols, and just neutralized his influence. It shows that standing up to bullies is essential, not just in combat, but in leadership.
Then lesson 8 demands excellence when everything is falling apart. Be your very best in the darkest moments.
This is about maintaining your composure when conditions are at their absolute worst. Like swimming under a ship's keel in zero visibility, where the noise is deafening and you can't even see your own hand.
Wow.
He illustrates this so beautifully with a ramp ceremony for fallen soldiers in Afghanistan. In the face of just overwhelming grief, everyone there maintained this incredible dignity and honor.
Rising above the chaos.
Exactly. Rising above your own personal chaos to perform a necessary duty with excellence.
And then comes lesson 9, which might be the ultimate lesson in morale. Start singing when you're up to your neck in mud.
This speaks to the just the incredible power of optimism and collective defiance.
What's the story behind it?
It was during Hell Week. The trainees were exhausted, freezing in the Tijuana mudflats, and the instructor offers them a way out. Just 5 men have to quit, and everyone else gets relief.
The ultimate temptation.
The ultimate temptation. And just as they were about to break, one guy starts singing, just a raspy voice, and then another joins in, and another.
And what happened?
The song wasn't just optimism, it was an act of unity, of defiance. It changed the instructor's calculus. Their collective hope was stronger than his threats. It saved them.
Hope is the most powerful force in the universe, as he says.
It is.
And finally, the message that ties it all together, lesson 10. Don't ever, ever ring the bell.
The physical manifestation of quitting in SEAL training is always right there in front of you. It's the brass bell. You ring it, you're out.
And the story he ends with.
It's so moving. It's about a 19-year-old Army Ranger, Adam Bates, who lost both his legs to a mine. When McRaven visited him in the hospital, Bates just signed to him,
"I will be okay."
"I will be okay." That refusal to accept pity, that resolve to just keep going, that's the ultimate message of perseverance.
You know, if we pull back now, what's so fascinating is the thematic evolution. It starts with this very individual, private act of discipline making your bed.
Hmm.
And it builds step by step toward this collective moral leadership inspiring hope, standing up to bullies, leading when it's darkest. It's this path from personal growth to really collective success.
Exactly. The 10 lessons reinforce those themes, discipline, resilience, community, but they also bring up a really important question for us to consider.
Which is,
Does that military level, highly regimented discipline produce the same results in, a less structured civilian life?
yeah.
Or is the real value simply the dedication to consistent effort?
I think it has to be the latter. The book's value is in its authenticity, for sure, but we, the listeners, have to tailor that principle.
Yeah.
It's not about being rigid, it's about finding your version of making the bed.
Which is where we get into the practical application. We have to translate these high-stakes lessons into strategies you can use in your daily life.
Okay, let's start with strategy 1, momentum building. This is the practical framework of the made bed.
Yeah.
That simple, completed task builds momentum, and it creates a ripple effect of productivity for the rest of your day.
So, for example, if you're tackling a massive project at work, don't start with the hardest part.
No.
Start with something achievable. Organize your files, draft the first email, set up your calendar. That small victory gives you the psychological fuel to move on to the harder stuff.
You're building trust in your own ability to perform.
That's it.
Then strategy 2, the failure reframe. When you face a setback, your own personal circus, you have to see it not as a career-ending punishment, but as necessary training.
Right. If you lose a big client or a performance review doesn't go your way, the natural instinct is to hide, maybe even quit. McRaven teaches us to see that painful experience as inner strength training.
It forces you to look at your weaknesses.
It makes you analyze your weaknesses, correct your course, and it prepares you for the next tough moment. The pain of the learning is temporary, but the strength you gain is permanent.
And strategy 3, leveraging your crew. The rubber boat example is just too powerful to ignore. Success is a team sport.
Which means actively fostering your support networks, professionally and personally. You have to recognize that you can't paddle the boat alone.
So in an office, that might mean seeing a colleague is overwhelmed and stepping in to help.
Absolutely. Stepping in to share the load, knowing they'll do the same for you when your boat starts taking on water.
And McRaven himself actually lived these strategies. He tells this amazing story about being fired from his SEAL Squadron command in 1983.
The huge career setback.
Massive. But instead of ringing the bell, he chose to weather the storm. He used that failure as motivation to just outwork everyone, and he eventually got his own command again later. He applied Lesson 5 and Lesson 10 directly to his own crisis.
It really forces us to look at our own habits, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you look at your routine today, what specific area of your life needs the discipline that's symbolized by that perfectly made bed?
It's not about becoming a SEAL.
No. It's about becoming disciplined in the areas that actually matter most to your success.
So to wrap this all up, I think the most paradigm-shifting insight here is that lasting change. It isn't driven by waiting for some grand moment of inspiration.
Not at all.
It's driven by disciplined, consistent, and often very small actions.
The book really redefines success. It shifts the focus to those foundational habits, to resilience, and to the humility you need to learn from failure. It's a powerful call to action.
And Admiral McRaven leaves us with this final, really provocative thought. He said that if every graduating student just changed the lives of 10 other people,
That ripple effect.
that ripple effect would ultimately change the entire world's population in just a few generations.
So the true challenge then is recognizing that your daily discipline, your resolve to never ever ring the bell, it has this potential for exponential impact. The question for you is, what is one area of your life where you will commit to discipline today to start that ripple effect, knowing that its consequences could echo far beyond just your own success?
Food for thought indeed. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into what starts small but has the potential to change the world. We'll see you next time.